Hey guys, welcome back to this week's Sister Scoop. We have some interesting news topics, so we're going to get right into the first one, which I think a lot of us have kind of been waiting for I don't even know, almost 6 months, maybe a little longer, and that's that we have some news on Beau DeMayo, who was or DeMayo, I still don't exactly know how to say that, on his firing from X-Men 97.
Yeah, I mean, look, you don't fire a head writer, like 2 days before premiere without cause, right? So I think we were all, to your point, just kind of wondering what is that cause? And now we know. Allegedly, he was, partaking in some bad behavior of a sexual nature with some of the folks, or, sending things to folks on the team, making some people uncomfortable. So that seems to be allegedly why he was removed from his role. Like I said, you don't remove a writer without cause. So this wasn't necessarily surprising in the sense that we all kind of were expecting, I think, some sort of update at some point. And here we are.
Yeah, I think you kind of say it with the icing on top of everything. You don't just fire someone. I am a little shocked it's been this long
Yeah.
that we didn't get any news. And even to your point, it's an alleged kind of thing. It hasn't really been something that has fully been confirmed. Nobody's like Marvel hasn't come out with a statement still to this day about it. So I don't know. It seems to be the current update on the situation, but it as an X-Men 97 fan, he did a great job on the first season. He did write the second season, so we are still going to have his work on that. But, you got to act appropriately and do the right things. And unfortunately, if that was not what was happening behind the scenes, it's a fair firing.
Yeah, it's one of those things I think where you have to separate the art from the artist. You can
Right.
appreciate the work that he did, and obviously we love the show. So, on that front, we definitely respect his work. But if these rumors and these allegations are true, definitely not someone that, we are aligned with in other ways. So, yeah, separate the art from the artist.
Right. But now moving away from some of the more serious topic of the first one, we have gotten another Kraven the Hunter trailer, which what's your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, where to begin? I think it's so hard because I know how much you love Aaron Taylor Johnson. So I was
How
definitely
do you think I
watching
feel?
it.
How do you
Yeah.
think I feel?
I was definitely like watching it with that lens and like he's a beautiful man. So like will I be excited to like go watch him, for 2 hours barely wear a shirt and in all of the clips I think he wore a shirt once. So like I'm excited for that aspect of the movie, but like what? I don't know. You know how I feel about the Sonyverse and how it just doesn't really make sense with all the things that are going on just more broadly with Spider-Man and all of the, his connections to the MCU. But then on top of that, they threw in the Rhino and I was like, why? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, I think as far as the Rhino for me personally, I kind of was like, okay, I see why you kind of thought this made sense. I can understand where I think you thought the connection would go. So like fine. And then I think the thing that excited me though was I was like, okay, so now we have the Rhino. And maybe he's like let's say he's not the main villain here cuz the first trailer made the impression that the main villain actually was his father and all these other like bounty hunter kind of people he's going after. So I'm like, well, then we would have another Spider-Man villain in the mix. And now listen, I share your feelings about the Sonyverse. Not a fan. Again, Madam Web. And I think
Enough
that's all I have
said.
to say. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure there's more to it. But, maybe this is going to now open more doors. That's how I'm gonna put it? Because don't forget, we have a vulture that exists with a Morbius already. So maybe
Or
we're
does
gonna
it
see some more.
Does it
I don't
close
know.
them? Because I was looking at an article and I just caught a headline, but I think the headline encapsulated the Sonyverse perfectly. Is Tom Holland going to have a villain left for Spider-Man 4? I mean, let's
Well,
be
they can't touch
honest.
Kingpin, so at least we have him.
We have one
But
safe guy. But
yeah, I mean, and we do have the Osborns. They're still an
Yeah.
option. Yes, they've played out, but they haven't. I mean, I don't count Andrew Garfield's version of the Osborns. So, like, we haven't really seen it done since Tobey Maguire's. I mean, he's too iconic of a villain, in my opinion, to completely pass up bringing in his own. So, and we have all those rumors about the Hobgoblin. Don't forget, Ned maybe being the Hobgoblin in the future. You know, there's hope. But yeah, I'm not sure what Sony's trying to do. I've said it time and time again, I'm not really understanding the anti-villain, or I'm sorry, the anti-hero view of these villains that they're trying to give us. And then if they're trying to eventually give us, like, let's say a Sinister Six, or bring them in to be villains for Tom, why are you making me like them? Why are they anti-heroes first? That doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense. Let's just, let's just put it out there. It's
Yeah.
not speculation, it's just logically 1 plus 1 is not equaling 2, and it's not equaling 3 in the fun way of like 1 plus 1 equals 3 because they're greater than the sum of their parts. Like, no, 1 plus 1 is equaling like -5. Like, it's not working.
It's not. And, that is just a fact. So my thought process after this last trailer was, yes, I'm going to have to deep dive into this for the predictions. I understand that. We can't escape that as a podcast. I get it.
We're
but then I'm going
trying.
to go into the movie. Yeah, right. I'm going to go into the movie and I'm going to be like, I'm just here to see Aaron Taylor Johnson perform. And do I think he
Yes.
looks like a pretty good Kraven from like an on-screen angle? Yeah, I do. I really do. So like, I'm just going to just attempt to enjoy the movie for it being a movie and hope that Sony can at least live up to that, because they couldn't do that with Madam Web. So we'll see. But that's kind of where that left me, is like, we'll see. This doesn't look any better, any worse than the first trailer let me think it would be. So
Yeah, I'm really just here for, to your point, Aaron Taylor Johnson just carving it up and not looking at all like Pietro Maximoff. It's fine.
that's its own thing. I'm also ignoring that. It's all good.
And Zeus. There's Zeus too.
Yep. We're ignoring it. It's just like pure ignoring. It doesn't matter. Just like Mordo's going to be in Venom. I'm ignoring it.
Yes.
Everything's being ignored. It's fine. It's fine. But moving on to our last topic, and one I'll let Taylor deep dive a little more into because I know she's excited. Dealing with Charlie Cox, he's had some interesting comments in regards to his character and the Avengers.
Yes. So Charlie was at Fan Expo in Chicago, and he may or may not have thrown out the term a group of people he wants to work with. And of course, we all know what group of people he wants to work with because they couldn't even hint at them in his last show. So I think it's just another, I was reading an article saying it's another way, another hint for him to really actively be a member of, maybe not the Avengers, maybe he's not an Avenger or whatever, but be integrated into the MCU in a way that obviously his last iteration was really not allowed to be. He's already interacted with Spider-Man. We saw him interact with She-Hulk. And I think his show, obviously we're bringing the Punisher back, which he was doing before, so that's not new to the MCU, but I think we're going to see more and more people, popping in and out. I think, Echo could be an interesting one as well. We saw him and her in her show, though that was a flashback, so I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up in present day.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of him being integrated in a way that was very much not possible for the Defenders universe at the time. And eventually him hopping into the saddle with the Avengers during Secret Wars or whatever team up, if it's Doomsday. I love it. I think it's so exciting to see characters who had to be on the fringes before get to actually be part of like the main show for the first time.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. But honestly, I'm kind of more excited about what his comment reads to me, because as you even were saying, he was already in She-Hulk. He already made an appearance in Echo, No Way Home. Like, he's made several MCU appearances. Actually, in my opinion, he's made more cameos than like a normal character who isn't like a role in said show or said movie. So I'm hoping that that comment also kind of goes to show, and I think we might have said this in a more recent podcast episode, that we're going to start having a little bit more of like, oh yeah, here's Daredevil for 5 minutes in this episode or this movie, and here's I don't know, here's Spider-Man's a horrible example of that just because of Sony. Again, look what you're doing. But now that we have Deadpool, here's Deadpool in this for a few minutes. Like, that is what the comics are really based off of, is your crossover events. And even when they're not your big ones, it's like they don't shy away from, we're in the same city, therefore
Yeah.
I answered the same call and here I am. Oh, you need
Yeah.
help? Cool. So I'm hoping that maybe that also opens some more doors. I mean, his character's already kind of been doing that, so I'm really hoping with Born Again coming, but then also him continuing to make a Marvel impact, he's able to, I don't know, start opening that door of like, yeah, we can afford maybe to actually have this guy pop in for 5 minutes here and not act like everybody lives in their own little bubble.
Yeah. To your point, I am all for the connectivity that we have definitely been lacking since Endgame. So if we can do that through him, through Wong, through some of these other characters that have started to be like little like single-handed on their own cameo fest, but also like showing, yes, we do live in an interconnected universe. Like,
Right.
I love that.
Right. Exactly. But this has been this week's Sister Scoop. Thank you for joining us. We will be back, of course, next week with more Marvel news. So check it out then. Bye.